Hi guys, welcome back. Great to have you here today. And I got a great question. I had a couple questions on the website about this recently, and it's talking about what is better, to be straighter or to be longer. And probably one of the most common things that I get requested is how can I be more consistent and how can I hit the ball straighter? Well, one of the cool facts, one of the cool things on the PGA Tour now is that they have all these statistics. It shows you everything that the top pros are doing. Well, if you go back and you look at from PGAtour.com, go to 2015. This is one of the most clear-cut pieces of information talking about is it better to drive it straighter or is it better to drive it longer. If you look at 2015, your top four in driving distance were Bubba Watson, Dustin Johnson, Jason Day, and I believe it was either Rory McIlroy or Adam Scott. So there you have those four players. They were averaging the four longest on tour. I believe all those guys were averaging over 310 yards off the tee. Combined, those guys made about $23 million that year. Tons of money, and three out of those four guys, I believe, were in the top 6 or 7 in the world. So the longest hitters were also the best players in the world in general. And if you went on down that list and you looked at the 5th, 6th, 7th guys, those are all highly ranked on the PGA Tour. Now let's look at the straightest guys on the PGA Tour, the guys that hit almost all the fairways. Those guys on general were averaging much slower swing speed, and that's one of the reasons that they kept it in the fairway a little bit easier, or a little bit more. You look at the top four in driving accuracy, and combined, they only made about $2 million that entire year, which is not very good. You have to make about $800,000 or $900,000 just to keep your PGA Tour card. So a couple of those guys would have lost their tour card if it wasn't for previous exemptions. So if you're looking at least for the PGA Tour, the farther you can drive it, the longer you can drive it, the lower your handicap's going to be, the more money you're going to make. Now it applies to the average golfer too. If you're out there and you're struggling with distance, the number one thing you can do to lower your handicap, and there's tons and tons of stats on this, is that as we increase our driver swing speed, our handicap goes down. And there's like a 0.97 correlation, so really, really strong correlation with this. The faster you can swing, the lower your handicap's going to be. So that said, I want you to get a little bit out of your comfort zone today when you go out and practice. I'm going to give you a couple tips here, and when you go to the range, I want you to hit about 10 or 15 balls absolutely as hard as you can hit them. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to put out tons of effort and not get the swing speed. I want your swing speed to increase a little bit. So let's make some practice swings first, then let's take it and hit a few balls doing this. Now, the biggest key thing to keep in mind is when we're talking about swing speed, maximum swing speed, it's how much torque can I put into this handle. So how much power, how much force can I put into the handle of the club throughout the swing and in the right spots of the swing. That's all that creates club head speed. So it's just what I'm doing right here into the handle is what creates the speed in the club. There's nothing else that's going to react to that. So it doesn't matter if you're 7 foot tall, it doesn't matter if you're 300 pounds or 100 pounds. All it is how much force can I put into this handle here. So the size of the player makes no difference. That's why you see Rory McIlroy, also one of the longer drivers on tour. He's only 5'10" or so. So two things I want you to focus on with this. Number one, our power turn that we talk about on the Top Speed Golf system. I want you guys to really focus on the backswing as getting a good full turn. So if you put a club across your shoulders, if we're making practice swings, I want that club to point all the way back here to my right foot. Now go ahead and lift your left heel. A lot of players out there that are members of the website may not have the flexibility of tour players. I don't have the flexibility of tour players, and that's completely fine. I'm gonna go ahead and lift my left heel a little bit. If I don't lift my left heel, I can get to there. If I lift my left heel, I can go a little bit extra. Also, here's another tip that you may not have heard before. Your right leg. There's a lot of information out there saying, let's keep this right leg really flexed. Let's load into the right leg. Let's keep that knee pointing perfectly straight forward throughout my backswing. So I'm gonna keep that knee locked in. Well, what happens there is that gets really tight on the outside of your hip. Here's what I want you to do to try this out. Keep your knee facing perfectly toward the golf ball. Some people even say to kick that knee in like that. Now, as I turn back, you're gonna notice that you feel a lot of tension in the outside of your right hip and in your hip socket there as you're trying to keep this knee forward. As I'm keeping the flex of my knee, as I'm keeping that knee there, my hips aren't allowed to rotate. I want you to go ahead and release a little bit of that tension and let that right knee straighten just a little bit. Now it's still gonna keep some flex, and overall, my knee is gonna be facing overall in the front position. So as I'm there, my knee is rotated a little bit out to the right, but I'm not doing this. I'm not letting my knee slide all over the place or letting my lower body kind of do that. I am keeping it overall forward, but I'm gonna let that leg straighten out a little bit. Now watch what happens when I do that. Here's both feet on the ground. There's the most turn I can get. I'm gonna lift my left heel, I'm to there. I'm gonna straighten my right leg a little bit, and now I'm going even farther than that. So big time swing speed. And then finally, let's work on getting the club to work up through the golf ball. So if we're looking from this view, the grip of my club, I got some good lag in this golf club head. As my grip starts to turn back up and to the left, that club is going to accelerate through the golf ball. So coming through contact, the idea I want to have is I want to turn this grip back up as hard as I can. So I'm going to be pushing into the ground with my left leg, my left hip, my left shoulder. All that's going to be moving upward to let this club really whip on through there. And you can feel that as you're swinging. If you have a lot of lag, the harder I turn that up, the more that club head is going to whip through. So let's take those 3 keys and let's try to hit 10 of the hardest drives you can hit. Once you've hit those really hard ones, we can always tone it back down, make some more controlled swings and work on our accuracy. But let's try to boost up our swing speed. So we're going to let the left heel lift a little bit, big shoulder turn. The right leg might straighten a little bit, and then I'm just going to turn this club head up as hard as I can. I recommend focusing on each one of those tips for 2 or 3 swings and then moving to the next one. So I'm going to try to put all those together, really rip the ball as hard as I can on this one. All right, guys, best of luck. May even lost my balance just a little bit on that, but that's okay. I'm trying to swing as hard as I can. We can get our balance back on those future swings. This one is all about pure swing speed. So give it a rip. If you hit it all over the place on the driving range, that's okay. We can always tone it down, but we got to try to get that swing speed up to lower our handicap, shoot some better scores. See you soon. All right, guys, hope y'all really enjoyed this video. If you did, I got an awesome bonus for you. We all want lots of lag in our golf swing. It's so crucial to have tons of lag to be able to get that high club head speed and to be able to drive it past your friends. I'm going to play a preview from one of my most important golf lag videos. If you're on a desktop device, you can go ahead and click the link that pops up on your screen. If you're on a phone or a tablet, you go ahead and click the iCard, and you're going to get instant access to that video. Plus, you're going to get instant access to 5 videos from our Top Speed Golf system. Good luck to you guys. Go out there and rip the ball. Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm Clay Ballard, and in today's video we're going to talk about one of the absolute worst drills for creating lag. It's a very common drill that I see, and in this drill what we're going to do is we're going to set the wrist very early to create an angle of lag, and then we're going to try to hold this throughout the swing. It's one of the worst things that you can do to build lag. I'm going to talk about the science behind why this is the case, and I'm also going to give you a great drill to help you improve your lag, all in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. If I do it this way versus holding that position, exact same thing happens when we're building lag in the golf swing. So what we want to do is throughout the swing, I want to have a very low and wide takeaway. So I'm not going to set my wrist early at all. If you look at a lot of the top players, you look at Adam Scott, very wide takeaway, not very much wrist set at all. You look at Rory McIlroy, look at Tiger Woods. All these players are using a wide takeaway and not getting very much wrist set, so that later in the swing, as we start down, we can increase this wrist set, and we're really only going to max out this angle of lag for a split second in the downswing. Okay, so a 3-step drill here. Now, as we get started with this, I want to remind you that the fulcrum in this golf club for getting a massive amount of lag is right at the end of the golf club. This is where I want my hinge point to be.